Hello and welcome back, guys. It's me. I'm here. And it's time. That's wrong. And it's time. Of course, immediately I'm already. It's time for a brand new episode of Mayday. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy holidays and whatever you may be celebrating. I hope it was wonderful. Mine was great as well. Thank you for asking. Now, for the last 3 weeks, it's been restful-ish, if that word is apt enough at this point. When you have a giant of a almost 1.25-year-old and he is now running around, that's the best you can hope for, but I hope that all you parents out there are enjoying your kids going back to school, because I get it now. I understand. Big year ahead of us, and before we get into it, there are some changes to the show. We got a great show for you today, but there is going to be some changes to the way that we do this thing. Our 1 2-hour show is now going to become 2 1-hour shows on different days. Now, we were swapping in the middle to another YouTube channel, my channel, Trevor May Baseball, but from now on, we are going to be doing 1 hour on Foul Territory, the fully scripted show where I go deep into the subjects that are being talked about in the news, the signings, all that kind of stuff, and give you my honest feedback and reactions on them. And then hour 2 is now going to be on Fridays at noon over on Trevor May Baseball. And that'll be a little bit more, you know what, I'll be honest. I can be uncensored over there. So there will be a little element of that. There'll be some more games and fun and just like goofiness happening. And also, it's more community driven. Chat will be read, lots of questions will be answered, and we're going to drive it that way. And also, we'll have the opportunity to go a little long if we need to. It just gives us more flexibility. So, Wednesday and Friday, also, we can cover news that happened after the show ended on Wednesday and Thursday and maybe even Friday. So that way, if something happens like on that Wednesday, I don't have to wait till the next Wednesday to talk about it. So we just all thought this would be a little bit easier to do, a little bit less confusing, and give me an opportunity to kind of dive deeper in and have some flexibility, and also just not be so tired at the end of the day. I felt like I was cramming, everything into this 2-hour thing, and we were taking 2 hours to really build it, and it was getting a little bit stressful, and I was spending all my time doing it, and now this is going to be a little bit better. So this is our Mayday show on Foul Territory. The same as it's always been, but after we're done, we are done, and I'll see you on Friday. All right? Okay. Let's get right into it. I mentioned it's been 3 weeks, right? I haven't done any videos really in those times. I said there would be a lot of videos, but a lot has happened, and a lot of things I would like to talk about. First of which are free agency nightmares. We are in free agency season. It is signing time, and I know it was really slow for about 3 weeks, and there's a lot that goes into that. We're going to talk about that as the next few weeks go on as well, because things are going to pick up. But as we know, it was recently announced that they're restructuring, they being the Angels, are restructuring the Anthony Rendon deal so that he can basically fade off into the sunset, and they can prorate or push his contract out a little bit and free up some their ability to pay some free agents as well. Works out for both, more so for Anthony. And that's been talked about ad nauseum. We can talk about, I'm not going to, give my judgment on Anthony and the way that he handled things and, whether it's the worst contract ever or not, because I think unanimously we all believe that. But this segment is not about Anthony. It's about the other contracts that we may have forgotten about, that may have had that title before Anthony took it. All right. Now, we know all the stats around him. He only played 20% of the games, but there are other ones out there. So what I want to do is figure out the answer to 2 questions. Those 2 questions are, 1, what other contracts can be or have been in the running for the worst ever, and why were those the worst? And is there any teams that consistently make these decisions and somehow are always in the conversation when they are the ones giving out these contracts? There is a team that does it a little bit more than others, and it probably won't surprise you, but we'll save that unveiling for the end of the segment. Okay, So, trigger warning, all of you that have moved past prior contracts that were given out for your team, and you may have blocked it out of the consciousness and really just finally through therapy were able to get through it. I'm sorry to say I might be dredging up some bad feelings again. So if you don't want to feel bad, maybe go make yourself a Pop-Tart or something and come back in 15 minutes when we move on to the news, all right? Okay, so first, we have honorable mentions. And unfortunately, Mets fans, I know it's been a rough offseason. That's going to continue. I'm so sorry. First up, honorable mention, Jed Lowry. Now, Jed is, I've had him on the Cut on the Diamond podcast. He's a buddy. I'm not trying to drag Jed here. You're going to notice a theme here. There are two categories of these. Usually it's bad luck or it's bad decision making. And there's a whole bunch of bad luck. So I'm going to make sure that I give the caveat that sometimes things just don't work out and then no one could have controlled it. And there's some things that were probably avoidable that were just bad decisions. So I'll try to make at least my opinion on those distinctions very clear when I'm going through these. So Jed Lowry, if you remember, 2019-2020, signed with the New York Mets. Had a 2-year deal for $20 million. Now, that's not a huge deal. He's a utility guy, good bat, didn't strike out much, had an elite approach at the plate, played a solid second base. It was, by all intents and purposes, not super risky, honestly. $10 million a year for a middle infielder is not that expensive, especially when it's only a 2-year deal. So let's throw that out there. However, in those 2 years, he only played 7 total games, and they were all in 2020. And also, remember, there's only 6 games in 2022, so it could have been worse. Could have been worse, and some of this was prorated, so the money wasn't quite as big of a sink. But when you only play 7 games, you can't really say anything happened. So basically, this was anywhere from I believe it would have came out to $13.5 million for nothing. But he did have a knee injury. The knee needed surgery. He didn't get it until the second year, so on and so forth. But sorry, Mets fans, that is a contract. That is pure sunk cost. And when it comes to sunk cost, that's an honorable mention. Number 2, and I would be remiss if I didn't put this guy in here, Trevor May, 2 years, 15.5 with the Mets. That guy sucked. That guy sucked. He only struck out 113 and 82 and 2/3 innings. What are we doing? I agree with Mets fans. Anyway, moving into our main contracts. These are the big ones. We're going to go over the details, and we are going to give a little context of why it may or may not be one of the worst. So this is in no particular order. I think you guys will feel what you feel about where they rank. We don't need to rank them because I'm not in the business of just crapping on players out here. I am in the business of giving some context. Context is where I live. So we're gonna keep with that theme. All right, number 1. I say it's not ranked, and then I immediately say number 1. Albert Pujols signed with the Los Angeles Angels for 10 years, $240 million. This was 2012 to 2021. He was coming off one of the best 10-year stretches with the St. Louis Cardinals in history, averaging almost 40 home runs and almost 120 RBIs a year, which is crazy. I would highly recommend you go Baseball Reference and look at I think it was 2003 to 2011, 2002 to 2011, somewhere in there. His first, he had 12 years with St. Louis, including the last one. So first 11 years, it was incredible. So to be honest, with all the information we had on Albert at that time, this contract being this massive made a lot of sense. But he got hit with the aging decline curve and got hit with it hard a little bit earlier than anyone thought. So his WAR before he joined the Angels was 88.7, an average WAR per year 7.4, which is insanity. Insanity. He is one of the greatest players of all time. In the years with the Angels, which spanned about 8 years, give or take, before the release and then the pickup by the Dodgers and then over to St. Louis again, was only about 12.8 total. So yes, he got over 100 total WAR, but the average WAR per year is about 1.3. That is not $24 million a year money. Though, the nice thing was, as this contract went on, and the $24 million was the price point, all the other contracts that got so big actually made his contract a little bit easier to swallow. So that's good, at least, because, inflation and so on and so forth. But his OPS decline, it fell off a cliff, and then it never came back. In 2017, dropped below league average, and then literally didn't go over until he made that big push at the end of his career trying to chase 700 home runs, which I'm glad happened. Honestly, it was one of the best stories of the summer that year. But the contract almost exclusively ran through his decline years, though in 2015 he did have an all-star appearance and he did hit 40 home runs, so there was a glimpse, but right after that it was downhill from there. And we can't really blame the guy. He signed through his age 41 season. Simply, no hitter is good at 40. They're just not. So it was a little bit predictable, but I think they were hoping to get more than that, and it looked worse and worse and worse as we got to the end. But I'll say, happy ending for him. Good job. And Albert Pujols is one of the greatest players of all time. So, sure, that contract didn't work out, but it wasn't like a dumpster fire. It was just kind of the normal thing you could predict. It just happened earlier than we anticipated. Here's one you may have not really thought about in a long time. Jacoby Ellsbury with the New York Yankees. He signed a 7-year, $153 million deal to run from 2014 to 2020. And unfortunately, his last MLB game was in 2017. He actually got released and was paid $63+ million after he played his last game with the Yankees. I believe at the very, very end before the release, they just told him to stay in spring training, and he never left. It's one of those things that he's a speed guy. When the speed goes, I know we had a lot of injuries. He missed all of 18 and 19 with those same injuries. We don't know how much of it was like keeping him off the field or if it was just like, hey, you're just not going to come back and we're paying you anyways. So it's the way it goes. But but he played the first half of the contract, and then the second half was not worth much. So I'm sure Yankees fans out there remember that contract vividly. Next up, Crush Davis, my guy, the guy I gave up my first major league home run to. It was the year he hit 53, which actually got him this platform deal, which was 7 years, $161 million to the Orioles that was supposed to run from 2016 to 2022. Now, you guys may remember the big bad year. That is 2019, where he hit 179 and an OPS of 58 plus, OPS plus of 58 on the year, and he played the whole year, never got hurt. Now, that's not contrasted to his last year before he was shut down and then eventually was released, where he went 0 for, I think it was 52 before he got a hit in the season. That was disastrous, but we're not going to count that one. We're going to count the full season. We're hitting 179 with a 58 OPS plus, and I think he struck out over half his at-bats. Not great. In his final 4 seasons of this contract, he had a negative 5.8 WAR. Now, I don't know what happened. There have been rumors of just like, things kind of like the focus changing a little bit, medication. I can't verify any of this, so we're not going to speculate, but a change in production this fast and this abruptly is fairly unprecedented, and it's often cited as one of the worst hitter contract ever, who he may be dethroned now by Anthony Rendon, though Anthony at least put a positive WAR when he was healthy. And Chris was healthy and just was on the struggle bus. And I played against him, and I feel bad for him. And this picture, I think, represents the whole situation. So feel for the guy, though he was paid. So I hope he's, whatever he's doing now, he's doing it with a smile on his face. But it was not easy to find many pictures with a smile on his face on a baseball field at the end, and that sucks. Moving on. Next, this guy isn't a free agent. This wasn't a free agent deal. This was an extension, and it just backfired in their face, but I will never have a negative word about him, and that is Miggy Cabrera. Now, everything I just said about Chris Davis and not being able to find a happy picture of him, that is all you can find of Miggy Cabrera. So let's just give the caveat before I go into the details of the contract. This guy is one of my favorite baseball players of all time. He was the most fun guy to face ever. He always gave you props when you got him as a pitcher, even when he wasn't doing very well. He always had a good time. He was always very engaged with the other team and with the fans. And I don't know, the guy just seemed like he was happy. And that counts for a lot, even though he was probably paid way too much over the 8 years, $248 million extension he had from 2016 to 2023. In that time, in that entire time, he put up 1.5 WAR over 8 years. Yikes. Now, this covers a lot of injuries. I know if you guys maybe remember the reporting on the changes in the knee with the recurring knee injury he had. That just means he has a chronic thing in his knee, I guess, that was never going to heal. At that point, I think all of the baseball world knew that old Miggy wasn't coming back. That said, one of the greatest hitters of all time, like obvious Hall of Famer, one of my favorite players to play against. And you know what? He was with the Tigers for a long time. He produced a lot with them, won the Triple Crown with them, got them all the way to the World Series in 2012. Would not have been close without him. So, it might be tribute money. It might be thank you very much for your service to this team, and that's what it ends up being. And that softens the blow a little bit, and it softens the blow for me too. But if you look at just numbers, the production was not paid for. So Miggy Cabrera, probably one of the least productive 8-year extensions ever. Moving on, another one that is interesting because it involves some trades, and that is Vernon Wells. He was originally signed to an extension by the Blue Jays after making the World Series, after making an All-Star team, putting up his career year on his platform year at 27 years old. He then signed an extension. And actually, when he was at the Blue Jays, he had a couple disappointing years where he's about league average, and then he had another one where he made an All-Star team again and put up pretty good numbers. I think it was a 119 OPS plus, and then immediately got traded to the Angels for the last 2 years of this contract. And there was a lot of this happening with the Angels. Vernon Wells had a total of an 86 OPS plus in those 2 years, only had 1.5 WAR. He wasn't terrible with Toronto, like I said, but the Angels traded for him and then absorbed the rest of the contract, which was 7 years, $26 million. So the last 2 years, they paid $50-ish million for very, very little production. And it was basically... the Blue Jays got him. The Blue Jays got him. They sold him high. The Blue Jays knew something that the Angels didn't know, and the Angels got for the last 2 years. Though it was only for 2 years, it was the Angels getting kind of fleeced. Again, so Vernon Wells, you may have forgot he was even an Angel. That'll tell you all you need to know. Speaking of the Angels, another guy that was one of the most impressive players ever to watch play baseball when I was younger, that's Josh Hamilton signing with the Angels to a 5-year, $125 million contract to run from 2013 to 2027. In the time that he played, now, if you remember, there are personal issues going on with Josh Hamilton too. So a lot of this is bad luck. It's things that he needs to take care of. So I'm glad he did step away from baseball to address a lot of his problems, right? That is a good thing. And I think that even Angels fans would agree, that supersedes the need to have you on the field. So we're going to put that off to the side, but you still didn't get the production on the field. So what you want guys to feel comfortable, feel good, and be their elite selves when you go sign them. That is not the version of Josh that they got, which is unfortunate. There were some injuries. There was some rehab, like I mentioned. And he put up 3.7 total WAR in the time he was with the Angels. Now, he did get traded back to Texas at the end of this deal, so the whole thing wasn't there. But the bulk of it was, and I feel for the guy, but did not work out for the Angels, and that's another Angels miss. So I don't know if you guys see a pattern. We've only said about 6 or 7 guys, and 3 of them are Angels. So, yikes. Moving forth past that, we have Detroit Tigers signing Prince Fielder and then eventually trading him a couple years into this deal to Texas, which then he eventually had a chronic neck issue that was very, very, very dangerous for him to continue playing, and he actually medically retired. So this was softened for a lot of ways, for a lot of reasons. It wasn't a massive deal because of how contracts work, and there is insurance you can take out on big contracts. So a lot of people don't know about this, but there's something called player insurance. So if you get medically retired, then player insurance, part of your contract, or the whole thing maybe, is covered by an insurance company, and then the insurance company basically pays him. So the team's off the hook for it. if he is medically unavailable to play. And this is for crazy things to happen. This is to protect you from, acts of God, if you will, like some tragic events. And this is considered one of them. So, though a lot of the money after he retired, I believe he retired in 2017, and the 9 years was supposed to take him to 2020. Those last 3 years should be paid through insurance, so not too bad. So it was a 9-year, $214 million deal. Tigers then traded to the Rangers. His career ended at 32 tragically. He actually played no games after 2015, so it was like the last 4 years of the contract kind of gets wiped out. Tens of millions of the cost was likely covered by insurance. So I couldn't find any distinct reporting on that actually happened, but that is almost always what's happening, especially now. Like there's a lot of insurance being taken. Now it's not probably all covered because these are getting expensive, probably would be my assumption, but insurance does cover this stuff just in case this stuff happens. And he was unluckily, tragically told that he shouldn't play anymore, and he made the right decision. So that's just bad luck. But you just got to take it as it comes, I guess. Here's another one, Yankees fans. I know we try to forget, but Carl Pavano, New York Yankee, 4 years, $40 million, 2005-2008. In that time, he made 24 total starts and only threw 130 innings, and he threw nothing in the last 2.5 years of the 4. So, in classic early 2000s Yankees fashion, he received 2 nicknames, and Carl Pavano probably does not like this. So I'm sorry, Carl. I know you're watching. You might want to turn it off for like the next 90 seconds or so while I go through. He was nicknamed the American Idol, as if doing nothing. Now, for the kids at home that are definitely watching this show, American Idol was a show, I believe it's still on, where people around the United States would compete to see who could be the next pop star. So that was a play on that. It was very popular about this time. So if you didn't know that. And then also The Invisible Man. That one I think is self-explanatory. He missed 2 full seasons, and he became the template Yankees disaster contract. He kind of just became one of the punching bags, the punchlines of free agency contracts for them for a long time. And by the way, 4-year 40 at that time was a lot of money. A lot of money. 10 years, that's ace money, and they did not get that out of him. Speaking of ace money, this is the second gentleman from Kelso High School, same high school as me. This is Jason Schmidt with the Dodgers in 2007-2009. He was paid 3 years, $47 million, which is true ace money. That is a lot of money back then, a lot. Now, we covered this last year when we were talking about can a reliever win the Cy Young. The year was between him, Eric Gagne. So when he was with the Giants, it was between Schmidt, Mark Pryor, and Eric Gagne. He took third in the Cy Young voting. He was probably clearly third, but he had a great year, and then that was his platform year, and he was then paid this from the Dodgers. In those 3 years, he made 5 total starts and threw 24 innings. He got a shoulder injury and never pitched again after 2007. So after his last start with the Dodgers, he never pitched in a major league game again. And it might be the worst cost per inning contract ever. We did the math. He was being paid, I believe the per start is like, it's like $12 million a start. That's crazy. That's crazy. But again, bad luck, injury, labrum surgery, I believe, and you never want to see that. So Jason Schmidt did not work out for the Dodgers. And just like I think a lot of San Francisco Giants fans will say that Barry Zito didn't quite work out for San Francisco either after signing with them after a great early career with the likes of Tim Hudson and Mark Mulder across the bay over in Oakland. Barry Zito signs a 7-year, $126 million deal with the Giants to go from 2007 to 2013. He had an ERA plus in those years of an 87 and a 2.4 WAR over the entire length of the contract. Though, we need to give him his props. He was integral in October in 2012 to win a World Series, which at the end of the day, I mean, that's what the fans want. They just want a chance at a World Series. And Barry Zito participated in that and gave him that. So that does soften, I think, the negative feelings about him. But in general, underperformed that contract. That was a lot of money back then. It's a lot of money now. But that's ace money for a guy that was throwing anywhere from a 4.5 to a 5 each year, though generally healthy, didn't get hurt a lot, which kind of hurts more, frankly, because you're going to get watch him kind of pitch. So every 5 days for a guy who's struggling, not throwing as well as he could. Okay, another lefty, another pitcher, a lot of pitchers here. Another one that you might have forgotten about, Mike Hampton to the Colorado Rockies. He signed an 8-year, $121 million contract to run from 2001 to 2008. In the time with the Rockies, which was only a couple years at the beginning, and then he was traded back. And then he went to Florida, and then before he even pitched for Florida, he went over to Atlanta and then pitched more years with them, and actually came back down to earth and pitched closer to what his career has been. It just turns out that a lefty ground ball guy in Colorado, not so good. Not so good. Was paid quite a bit of money from the Rockies. They show up in here a lot. He had a 5.75 and an 88 OPS plus, ERA plus with the Rockies in his time there. Did not work out, but they were able to ship him early, and then he provided value somewhere else. So his career didn't just end, which is good. So that's a positive. Mike Hampton ended up being a very good pitcher towards the back end of his career as well. Speaking of the Rockies, and now this contract has not ended yet, but we are very much on our way to not good. This is the only one that's currently still going, but I think we're far enough into it, 4 years into it, that we should be worried, and that's Chris Bryant. That's not Chris Bryant. That's Steven Strasburg. We're going to flip. Steven Strasburg, probably the worst pitcher contract of all time. And this is just bad luck. If you remember, 7 years, $245 million, Nationals. He won the World Series MVP. He got the Nationals their first ever MVP, or first ever World Series. You got to count that as a lot. And it is a lot, right? It's important. But after he signed this 7 years, he only made 8 starts and threw 31 total innings in 7 years, which is up there with Jason Schmidt, but he made $200 million more. I do believe, though, he was also had an element of medical retirement because of thoracic outlet syndrome. We did a video on that last year, and it's no joke. It involves nerve damage, and it can really mess you up, and you'll never pitch again. And that is what happened to Steven Strasburg. Another guy who just is unlucky. An injury, a career-ending injury came out of nowhere. There's no way anyone could have predicted it. So I don't fault either one of those. It's just one of those unfortunate things. But hopefully, some of the insurance. You know what? I love it when an insurance company has to just cover things because that's their job. So if the people who had to cover it here at the end were just an insurance company, I'd say it's worth checking that off the list, right? Checking it off the list. All right. We also have Chris Bryant on here, and somehow the photo got skipped. So Chris Bryant, another one. We're halfway through. He's an honorable mention. He has a negative 1.6 WAR so far in the first 4 years with Colorado. He's given up 7. He's only hit 17 homers in the easiest part to hit homers in, and he's only played 170 total games, which is about 25% of the game. So 182 million over 7 years for 25% of the games. Very, very quickly approaching Anthony Rendon status. But again, I think a lot of the negative feelings around Rendon are also his scandals and the way he handled the scrutiny could have been done better. And I think we can all agree that we don't need to talk about that anymore. But the worst team at signing players is these guys, the the LA Angels. They are far and away the worst. We have Anthony Rendon. We have Albert Pujols. Now, the Rockies are close-ish. But we have Josh Hamilton. We have Justin Upton. You remember that one? That was a short-lived one where the production was much, much lower. I believe he had one of the 4 years he was there. He had over an OPS plus of 100, which is league average. Mike Trout is being paid over $400 million now, and he's missed a lot of time. Now, again, I think that's unlucky. I think that I don't like to second guess that one because that one made. If you can sign Mike Trout, sign him. Like, I get it. He should do that. He should have done it. That was a smart decision. If you can keep him. But Art doesn't have a great track record of signing guys. And then maybe we got scared of signing any starting pitching, even though none of these are pitchers. They don't sign starting pitching for some reason, yet we keep signing hitters. I don't know. But I would say the Angels have a pretty tough track record. They probably have 5 of the top 10 worst of all time. maybe it's time to look at what we're doing. But I want to know what you think. What did I miss? Did I miss any contracts? I probably did. There's a lot of like shorter term contracts out there that probably are out there. But remember, sometimes things don't go well. Sometimes you swing and you miss. And sometimes you can't avoid it. So sometimes it's unlucky. Sometimes you just don't know what you're doing. But these are some of the worst contracts ever done by any major league team for a free agent, for a trade, for an extension. And let me know what you think in the comments or the chat, because I want to know. And for anyone who finally forgot about it, now they're being reminded, my bad. I warned you. All right. We will move on to the news in just a second, but first, a word from our guys.
I have a unique holiday gift idea. It is called Superpower because, Kratz, they care about you. It's a very unique health platform. It's new, and it finally gets you the answers that you need about what's really happening inside your body and what to do about it.
I got the answers. I'm on the journey of what to do about it. Why would I not want to give it to one of my loved ones in my life?
Give your loved ones something that actually lasts. That's right, Kratz. Better health and more time with you. If you go to superpower.com/gift, you get a free $49 premium gift box with your gifted membership. After you sign up, they'll ask you how you heard about them. Please mention FT to support the show. One simple lab test measures 100 plus biomarkers. We're talking hormones, vitamins, minerals, and so much more. You'll get a full health report and a personalized action plan built by clinicians, including nutrition, supplement, and lifestyle guidance. Get after it, FT fam.
Well, that might have been the wrong sponsorship. So I'm going to hold off on that for the next one. Apologize if that's old. Go check it out either way. Okay, moving on. Before we actually move on, I have some housekeeping real quick. Join the Substack, guys. It is for free. You can subscribe to a newsletter every Friday. You will be updated on everything we have going here on Mayday Media. We're writing custom articles. Things you're not going to see in the show are going to be there. We're also brainstorming new ideas to make that even more worth your while. And the most recent article that you can read is from producer David Korn about Kyle Tucker's free agency and what's going on there. You can go check it out at I'mTrevorMay.com or use the QR code here. And also, if you choose to subscribe using your wallet, you support everyone here at Mayday Media. We have a lot of things we are working on, big projects, possibly expansion, and that also helps us as well. And it is, if you don't want to, everything's free for now, but there will be paid wall content that just more. Everything that's there now will continue to be there, and there will only be more, never less. So we appreciate you guys and your support, and thank you on behalf of everybody who works on it. Thank you so much for your support there. And then also, there is a second channel. It's at More Mayday. That is where a lot of these videos are going to be and going to continue to go. So if you ever missed my show or don't see it on the other channel as well, you can always get the clipped version, the shorter videos of each segment individually over there on More Mayday. Throw it a subscription. That would mean a lot to me. And also, if you're not subscribed to Foul Territory channel that we're on right now, do that. What are you doing? So thank you so much for your support over there as well. All right. Hopping into the news and the rumors and all that kind of stuff. We have, now don't get too excited because I'm pretty excited about this, but we do have some breaking news. The Cubs are close to landing to this gentleman, Edward Cabrera, in a trade with the Marlins. As reported and confirmed by ESPN's Jesse Rogers. It was not clear with who or what Miami would receive in the trade, but adding Cabrera to a rotation, same as last year, Shotei Managa, Matthew Boyd, Jamison Taillon, and presumably Justin Steele probably towards the end of the year as he is throwing. I don't know if you guys have seen his TikToks, got me jacked up. This could be a big pickup for the Cubs, especially because Cabrera is coming off one of his better years. His last year has been great. Or actually, no, his last year was his career year. He went 8-7 with a 3.5 ERA, 150 Ks, and 137 innings. And he's the guy who throws the changeup that's only 2 miles an hour slower than his fastball. Zach Greinke style. Love it. He's 27 years old. He doesn't turn 28 till April, and he has 3 more years of control. So that is a big pickup for the Cubs, and they should become much better of a team because of it. Now let's talk about some signings that have happened since we had our last show, and I'll give you my whether or not I like it or not. We'll kind of rapid fire this because I know a lot of you guys know it. I just want to touch on it real quick because I haven't yet. We have Pete Alonso signing. After being heavily pursued by the Red Sox and other AL East teams, he decided to go with the Baltimore Orioles. He liked the vibe there for a 5-year, $155 million contract. A little bit a part of the controversy happening in Flushing, as we're doing that again, is he was never offered a new contract by the Mets, which seems like a little bit of a head scratcher. But you know what? I just work here. Like, who am I to wonder? 247 last year, 38 home runs, 126 RBIs, one of the most productive hitters in the major leagues, being second RBIs only behind Kyle Schwarber. He did a great job projecting Juan Soto in the lineup, who turned almost an MVP season in, even though he didn't make an All-Star game, which also makes no sense. Early in the offseason, the Baltimore also signed Ryan Helsley, teammate of Pete Alonso last year. They traded for Shane Baz, signed Zach Eflin, and traded for Taylor Ward. So they've improved their team. Now, where's the starting pitcher? We don't know. They're working on it, but we're running out of time. Let's go. Let's go, Orioles. It's pretty obvious what you need. Let's go. Moving on. Kyle Schwarber re-signs with the Phillies, surprising absolutely nobody, signing a 5-year, $150 million deal. The 32-year-old got that big money after taking second in the MVP voting last year, and hit a lot of balls real far. He hit 240, 56 home runs, and led the NL, like I just mentioned, with 132 RBIs. Much deserved. I love this deal, just like I love the Alonso deal. I realize I didn't say that. I love this deal. I think he's just got to be a Philly for the rest of his career, which this is lining up to be. It's just one of those guys. He fits in with the guys in that clubhouse. He fits in with that organization. He fits in with the fan base. They love him. And by what he does, he's a DH. He can hold up and age really well. He's been very productive since he's been there. So I don't see any reason that he won't be that same way. Then we have Michael King re-signing with the Padres, which I love because the Padres were in danger of having absolutely no starting pitching after losing Dylan Cease to Toronto. So I love that he's back. He signed a 3-year, $75 million, good for $25 a year in mid-December, and he's opt-out after each year, which is what we call a good old-fashioned bridge year, meaning every single year is a platform year. He has an insane year. He wins a Cy Young. Go get paid, playa. If not, you have a job, and you're with a team in a place that you like to be. He went 5-3 last year with a 3.44 ERA, though it was hurt by injuries. The production there in a smaller sample size is right in line with what he's done the whole time he's been there. And I think we're yet to see the best of Michael King. He is potentially a Cy Young candidate if very healthy, just like he did in where he finished 7th in the Cy Young in his first year with the Padres in 2024, throwing a 2.95 with 173 innings and a 3.9 WAR. That's a pretty good year as a starting pitcher. I believe the peak is still to come. And then we have some trades happening. Trades are good. The Pirates go and get Brandon Lau from the Tampa Bay Rays. Brandon Lau quietly put up 31 home runs and 83 RBIs for Tampa last year, in a very tough year where they played like 300 games on the road, which stinks. But I think underappreciated because this guy has an electric arm, but really struggled down the stretch last year, was Mason Montgomery and Jake Mangum also going to Pittsburgh in this deal. So I love it. I love it so much. The Pirates dealt right-handed Mike Burrows to Houston. It's a 3-way deal. And Tampa got a pair of prospects from Houston. So, I mean, getting Mason Montgomery, the Pirates, that said, if the Rays didn't develop him into a stud, I'm not confident the Pirates are going to do a better job. But it is an absolute cannon of a left arm. So as the pitching goes, that could be a potential wild card for a big impact guy in the back end of the bullpen. And I like Jake Mangum too. He just looks good in the uniform, man. That guy just looks like a ball player. You see him on the side of the road, you're like, that guy plays baseball, I can tell. Moving on, more Pirates news. Ryan O'Hearn is now a Pirate. He's going to play first base. I like this signing a lot. Left-handed stick, works well in that park. He's a new face. He's a veteran guy. They got some guys with some experience now with him and Lau on that right side of the field. Maybe we're getting the core here that have been somewhere, have won, have been traded for, have been to the playoffs, have gone deep into the playoffs. Maybe they can add something a little bit more tangible there in Pittsburgh. I love this, and maybe it's just some of these deals are just within their range, and it's also the most money they've given a free agent, I believe, ever in 2 year, $29 million. It's the first multiple year free agent deal that the Pirates have put together since 2016. Now it's a lie. Manager McCutcheon's extension is the biggest ever, but this is the biggest one they've given out in almost 10 years, which is, I don't understand how that's possible, but hey, it's over now. 2 year, 29, round of hurt. Good for him. Good for him. All right, another trade. Wilson Contreras was a St. Louis Cardinal. He's now Boston Red Sox, joining Sonny Gray, which savvy move. That was a big hole in the old Red Sox team with Tristan Casas, just the most unlucky person on the planet. And now they have a guy who plays solid defense and can hit. I like this pickup a lot. I think that he is a proven bat and can thrive just knocking balls off of Fenway's left field wall, off the monster. So interested to see that. Now they pivoted. That is the Red Sox pivoted away from Alonso once he signed, obviously, with the Orioles. So they went and got, I think, a guy that can also provide them a lot of production. He hit 257 last year, 20 home runs and 80 RBIs. I wouldn't be surprised if he bumped that up a little bit this year. The A's traded for Jeff McNeil, who, I'll be honest, Abby, knowing Jeff is the most A's player I know. He plays 5 positions. He's a utility guy, ex batting average champ, right? So we'll see how it goes. He turns 34 in April. Last year he had a 111 OPS plus, 922 games played. It'll be interesting to see what he does over on the A's team, because he is going to be the elder statesman. And boy, oh boy, how much money I would pay to see Jeff McNeil running the microphone on the bus is a lot. It's a lot. So congratulations, Jeff. Have a great time. Sorry about Sacramento. That stinks. The White Sox also pick up a free agent. Surprising, I think, every single person on the planet. That is Munetaka Murakami. Signed the power Japanese bat. Signed a 2-year, $34 million contract before Christmas with a team that, I don't know what they're doing. They were better last year. They did look better. They got some young studs coming up and producing. So maybe they take even a bigger step forward. But he is known as some of the best power in the free agency market this year. He set an MBB record for home runs in a single season with 56 in 2022. But there are some concerns about his defense, and he can play third base, first base, and he might swing and miss a lot. So I think the market, they expected to be a little bigger for him. It wasn't, and this is probably the most money he could get. But I do want to see him succeed because it'd be nice to see the White Sox become a little bit more relevant this year. Speaking of Japan, the Astros, kind of surprising as well, signed Tatsuya Imai, the star of the right-hander that has been compared to a young Yu Darvish, signed a 3-year, $54 million deal. It could be worth up to $63 million incentives to the Houston Astros. The team announced on Friday. The deal also includes opt-out, so he is a bridge deal. So there was a lot of projections putting him anywhere in the 150 million, maybe a 7-year deal, and it didn't really materialize. He's had injury problems in the past, hasn't thrown as many innings as people would like him to, but he had a standout 2025. He went 10-5 with a 192 and 178 strikeouts in 163 innings. So that is a very good platform year, and he's very confident, very public about not wanting to go to the Dodgers. I think everyone likes that. So he's been showing up at every single park in Houston, going to a Rockets game recently, going to a Texans game, and really getting into it. So I love it. He seems like a personality. I think we're going to see competitiveness at a high level with him. And, injuries aside, if that doesn't happen, if he stays healthy, this could be a huge pickup and makes needing to re-sign Framber Valdez not so important. So I like this for them. I like this for everybody. I love this, actually. And I'm excited to see him go. It's actually kind of sad that he's going to be now in the AL West, and now the Mariners have to deal with him. And then the Blue Jays. Blue Jays, they see a window, and they are running through that window, signing Kazuma Okamoto, Japanese third baseman, 4 years, $60 million with the Blue Jays. 29-year-old hit a league best 248 home runs, one more than Murakami, who signed with the White Sox. So he's one of the best home run hitters over there. He's coming over. He was on Team Japan in the last WBC. I have assumption he will be there once again here. But his homer totals have dropped recently. He went 27 and 24. He went 15 and 25. But his batting average shot right up. So it's not like his production has gone away. In general, he's just hitting for more contact, not striking out very much. It went from a 16% strikeout rate to an 11% last year. So he struck out 11% of the time. That is quality, and that team's going to have some thump. They have Vladdy. I don't need the homers as much. The contact will do just fine. So I love this pickup, and I love the Blue Jays just being like, let's go. Let's do it. They're going after everybody, and I love to see it. Get the people going. All right. Now, let's talk. That's not right. Let's talk about some rumors. This is a quick rumor roundup. What is going on around the league before we hop into our last segment real quick. Here's a quick rumors, and I'm going to hit them rapid fire. What's going on in the rumor market? What's going on with the guys who have not been signed yet? First, Cal Tucker. According to my colleague at SiriusXM, Jim Duquette, the Mets, Dodgers, and Blue Jays, surprise, are the teams most aggressively pursuing Kyle Tucker. Wouldn't surprise me one bit if he goes to one of those three teams. I'm with you guys. Maybe not the Dodgers. It would be interesting. But then again, right? He's a right fielder. We got Juan Soto already. We got the Blue Jays, have Santander, who they just signed for a bunch of money. So, it sucks, but the Dodgers are the one that makes the most sense. But it'll be interesting, see where he moves out, and this guy's a stud, and any team's going to be better with him. So we'll see. But the Athletics' Mitch Bannon also confirms the Blue Jays' interest in Tucker, writing the Blue Jays have increased their efforts because they're all in, remember, jumping through that window. Alex Bregman received an aggressive offer from the Red Sox. Athletics' Jen McCaffrey confirmed that Buster Olney's report from ESPN that the Red Sox have made a competitive and aggressive offer for free agent Alex Bregman after, as you remember, he opted out of his contract last year, trying to get more money. The Toronto Blue Jays, Chicago Cubs, Arizona Diamondbacks, and Detroit Tigers are all in the mix for Bregman as well. So this is very interesting. I mean, this is the one that I can't predict at all. I cannot wait to see where this guy ends up. But don't be surprised one bit if it's very close to spring training when this thing finally gets done. But we will be watching it closely. Then we have Bo Bichette is been reported to be unlikely to return to the Blue Jays. Foul Territory's own Kenny Rosenthal reported yesterday that increasingly unlikely the Blue Jays re-sign Bo Bichette. Sorry, guys. You're getting a lot of other guys, though. That's good. The New York Post, John Heyman reported Bichette's market includes the Phillies, Red Sox, Yankees, Cubs, and Dodgers. If I were to guess, if I were to just throw a dart against the wall, sorry, Bryson Stott, I think that this gentleman is going to become a Philadelphia Philly. He's going to play second base. That's my guess. It's just, what's that based on? Absolutely nothing. So, take that. Predictions suck, but I'm going to make them because it's fun. And then we got the Mets talking about targeting pitching, specifically for Framber Valdez and Ranger Suarez, and many believe that one of these two guys is going to be a Met. If I were to choose, I would say Valdez is probably more of the front-end guy than even though Ranger's been very, very good, and he already played in that division as well, so he's very familiar with all the parks. But I don't think you can really go wrong, but it seems inevitable the Mets will sign one of both. Also reported by ESPN's Buster Olney. Foul Territory's own Ken Rosenthal and Athletics' Will Salmon reported the Mets will first focus on trade market to find pitching, naming Tariq Skubal, Freddie Peralta, Mackenzie Gore, Edward Cabrera, who is gone now, so we can cross that off the list, Chris Bubich, and Brady Singer as potential options. Now, they have the prospect capital. They have 8 top 100 prospects. So expect something to happen in Mets lands in terms of starting pitching, possibly one of these guys or a trade. And then finally, the Pirates are considered the top candidate, or at least someone who's going to aggressively go after Eugenio Suarez, coming off one of his best power homer seasons. according to a report from Jason Mackey from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Though they've added Brandon Lau, Rhino Herd, Justinson Garcia, a.k.a. The Password, look that up, and Jake Mangum in the offseason. They may not be done and continue to be aggressive. I like it. Go for him. Go get him. Let's see. That place is a bang box, too, so he might hit a lot of homers there. And that is one thing that he likes to do is hit homers. So that is the rumor roundup. We'll be watching closely, and I'm very excited to see what happens in the future. All right. Now, we're going to move on to our final segment of the day, Mace-splaining. I'll just do the thing. Rapsodo and Hawkeye all tell you this information. Rapsodo and Hawkeye all. Oh, come on. All tell you this information. Wow. That's never happened before. Okay. This is Mace-splaining. Data in baseball. Let's talk about data in baseball. So recently, this actually happened like the day we went on break, but it was recently announced that if you aren't a massive nerd like me, you wouldn't have seen this, but you may not be aware, Major League Baseball has announced that some strict rules about data collection in the minor leagues that match up with the strict rules that are already in the major leagues. Now, if you aren't familiar, Major League Baseball has very strict rules about controlling the flow of information in the major leagues. So basically, everyone gets the same data set, and then where you can distinguish yourself is to how you use that data, right? Everyone, if we're gonna use Hawkeye, everyone uses Hawkeye. Now, the exceptions that come out of this are like biomechanics stuff. You can have like special cameras that actually don't see like a picture, they see like markers, whatever it is. It's very complicated, but like there are some exceptions, but for the most part, the MLB monitors this stuff very, very closely. It's also kind of attached to the cheating stuff too. So like it's kind of all looped in. There is an entity called MLBAM or MLB Advanced Media. They're also the same entity that controls all the copyright stuff on YouTube and stuff too, like from broadcast. So if you ever get a copyright strike on YouTube, it's from BAM. So they've been very strict about this stuff. It's supposed to be for competitive balance, but also to cover like to police cheating and all that kind of stuff. They just don't want people to be able to get huge advantages just because they have more money. That makes sense to me. That is now going down to the minor leagues where that didn't exist because a couple things. One, it's a training ground. They want to test things out. They want to learn about things, and the only place to do it is in the minor leagues. Or in like bullpen sessions, and there's certain levels of data you can only get from game-like situations, right? That is changing and may have lasting implications for a lot of things. So we're going to talk about whether or not the pros and cons of Major League Baseball taking over the way data is used or available in the minor leagues, because there's a lot of stuff going on there. It's going to take some while. So don't expect this to happen tomorrow. But I just wanted to give you some context of what this actually means, because lots of people are like, I don't even know. Okay, what were they doing down there? So I can give you some, because I have now been in this world for the last month or so, trying to get technology myself to help people with pitching. And I'm learning a lot really fast. And a lot of this stuff became very obvious to me over time. So now I have a bunch of anecdotal evidence, things that can give you context in my own experience. So here's a quote from an MLB spokesman that kind of explains the whole situation as reported in Baseball America. We are taking this step to ensure that all 30 clubs are working with the same set of information as they make baseball operations decisions. Parity. We want everyone to be on the same playing level, right? Here's the article from my colleague and friend Eno Saris talking about it a couple weeks ago. Continuing in the quote, each club can use the information however they see fit, but it is important that we provide a level playing field on access to information. We aim to standardize the baseball operations tech used at various levels of the minor leagues to provide every club the same set of data and video. The effect will be different by ballparks. Some facilities will see additional tech installations, while others will be unchanged or reduced. MLB will pay for and manage the tech. Okay, that's very nice of them. though. That comes with certain things. So we'll talk about it in a minute. Now, don't expect these to happen quickly. The minor leagues have been a testing ground for a lot of teams. So there's like a ton of like multi-year contracts with like different vendors. And there's a lot of people who have like experimental stuff and mound stuff and like wearables. And so they would just ship it all to the minors and see if it worked. And then if it did, they'd figure out a way to get to their big league guys in spring training or at home. But they just can't do it in games because obviously you don't want to get information that the other team's not getting. That makes a lot of sense to me, okay? So is this a good or a bad thing? Just like everything, there are pros and there are cons to this all happening and going under one umbrella. And as a nerd myself, but also in terms of development and like things you're going to hear about, because I know there's a lot of old heads in the social media that hate all the analytics and hate all the stuff, and then there's a lot of young people that just constantly only use analytics. And obviously, it's the use of both. Both are important, but it's important to understand what it means. So here's the pros and cons. Here's the positives. Okay, positives. Why? How this potentially be good? MLB tracking data, MILB tracking data could become more publicly available in the future, like it is in the majors. For example, we have StatCast, right? You see that stuff on the broadcast, and we have Baseball Savant, which is StatCast like portal where publicly facing. It's all free. We can all see it. People like me can go and get the data and put together a show for you. That might now happen in the minors, which the minors are kind of a little bit of a crapshoot. We don't know what's real, what's not, what's standardized, what's not, and that might standardize it. Now, Major League Baseball has not said that is going to happen. But that is a logical step. Like that is an assumption you can make, reasonable assumption. And Eno Saris, who wrote the article, this one in The Athletic, and also myself, that would be awesome if we could get standardized data. We know all the movement stuff for them. Now we can create a whole minor league projection system and stuff just the same. And this is for media, guys. Like it'll be different for how we're developing players, but like from a narrative standpoint, from a predictive standpoint, it's fun. It's fun to do it. It's fun to read that stuff. And if we have more on the minors and it's standardized so we know it's consistent across all the teams, it would make it even easier to commit to using it. So that would be a positive if it happened, but it has to happen first. It has to be part of it. And again, this can be a slow process because there's a lot of stuff going on, way more than what's happening in the major leagues, okay? Also positive, it closes a potential loophole that allows exclusive minor league deals to include like other data that service is getting. So for example, TrackMan is what is used almost across the board, right? Everyone uses TrackMan, including college, including high school, including the place that I've been doing some of my pitching coaching lately, or my consulting, if you will. They also have TrackMans. They have 2 TrackMans, and guys are throwing on the TrackMans, like young guys are throwing on the TrackMans. So everyone's using TrackMan. It all goes to their platform. It's all saved there. So there is a possibility, and it probably has happened, let's not act like it hasn't, where if you have a exclusive deal with TrackMan, part of that deal could be, hey, and you should give us all of the SEC's data on those guys, and other teams might not be able to get that because they don't have exclusive deals with TrackMan. Now, this is an example. Everyone does use TrackMan, but what if it were something else? That is kind of against the rules, but it's not really, you can't police it. Like, there's no way to catch them doing that in Major League Baseball if everyone's doing their own thing. So if we bring it in, no one could be doing that potential loophole could be happening, and we could be getting scouting advantages by knowing things about the next, like about guys that are going to be drafted that other teams can't do. They want to avoid that as well. So that's another potential good thing, right? That would be good. Now, we don't know if that's happening, but it would guarantee that it's not, which is good. I think that's a good thing, okay? Now, there are downsides, and frankly, there are probably more downsides, because it's a pattern of behavior that I'm not a huge fan of either. So let's talk about some of those. It could push everyone to the middle in terms of development. So where the big teams, where the teams that were developing players were separating themselves were in the minor leagues with innovative technologies that other teams hadn't, like they don't have the ability, or they're not good at making the decisions. So like your executive's ability to see value somewhere and go capture it before another one was an advantage. That might go away, and that's not fun. That's a lot of how the Rays are competitive. So like these small teams that are still competitive through development might get hamstrung a little bit by this and being forced back towards the Pirates and the Rockies. And so everyone has the same data. Now, there still will be advantages when you get the data, how you use it, how it works in the big leagues. If you still have the better brains doing that then great. But now that gap is closed and been artificially closed for parity's sake, but like there has to be, we have to not make everyone, there has to be a way to just get better outside of just playing better, because there's a lot of luck. You know what I mean? Like there has to be something strategically that teams are doing better than the other ones so that the game continues to move forward. So it could slow that down, and innovation and that kind of stuff. So another like second thing would be innovation might go away, because teams are worried about Major League Baseball not approving the thing they want to do, maybe they don't even try it anymore. And now that company doesn't have anywhere to go either. So it's really going to affect all these third-party companies. I know a lot of you guys don't think about it, but like imagine building a product forever, knowing that you might be able to get, like, we can get it in the minor leagues and we can get it there, and then they take that away and being like, what do we do now? So that stinks. And then maybe there's less people out there thinking that way because they don't have the opportunity to do it anymore, and things might stagnate because now the teams have to do everything and they don't want to spend money. That's generally, when you run a business, you want to keep your costs low. Which leads me to number 3. It's a cost-cutting thing. And it's pretty obvious that is an added benefit. Like, oh, there's an arms race and that team's spending a bunch of money and I don't want to spend that money and make them stop. That's what salary caps do, right? So I know it's not a huge deal because players are way more expensive, but it does serve that function. And we already did this once. And it just so happened that last time we did this, when we consolidated the minor leagues down to only a few teams, like we got rid of a lot of the teams and like pretty much full levels, it just so happened to be the year before a CBA. And now we're consolidating a bunch of things again. The year before a CBA again, probably a coincidence. I'm just, tinfoil hat. That's probably it. But like, it is a cost-cutting measure, and it does it might exacerbate this whole like, we're gonna make it so no one has to spend any money in service to parity, when it's a sport. Like you got to compete at some point. Like there's got to be competition and more than just head-to-head on the field. Like there's got to be, right? Every business we don't just make all the businesses the same and then just be like, all right, good luck. It just feels it's in the sake of competitiveness, and it feels the opposite to me. So I will say that, and that's a potential byproduct of this. And then the last thing, less jobs for the talented people and less freedom to push something forward for innovation. So like the people who are down there trying to find advantages for their organizations now suddenly might have their jobs negated or not be so important, and people are going to then lose their jobs for that, which sucks. And that's just me trying to have a little bit of empathy here. And also just knowing, like, as someone who loves the idea of innovation in baseball technology and like finding interesting ways and explaining why things happen in different ways, I love it. I've been looking into it as well, and it would stink to get these kind of boundaries put on me kind of out of nowhere. That said, I do like the idea of the front-facing data being available to the public as well. So there's trade-offs. As there are trade-offs in everything, there's trade-offs here, but I would love to know what you guys think. I myself am looking at building a mocap lab, motion capture to do biomechanics and things. I think it's phenomenal, but I'm interested in what you guys think, because I know a lot of people are different sides of these fences. Like, what else am I thinking about? What else could this possibly be bringing us, good, bad, or indifferent? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat, and maybe we can follow up a video and see how this goes later. But are you for the decision or are you against it? I just want to know, because you mean a lot to me. All right? Thank you. All right, guys. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we are only doing 1-hour shows on Wednesday, and we're doing 1-hour shows on Friday. So we're about to get out of here. We're in a couple minutes over. This is going to be a learning process, but that is it for this week's Wednesday edition of Mayday. I included all the links to the articles that I referenced for that last segment in the description below. Make sure you subscribe to Foul Territory before we get out of here. I will see you on Friday for my edition on Trevor May Baseball. If you don't subscribe over there, do that now. I also want to thank producers David Korn, Henry Neiman for making this show happen, editors David Foley, Aaron Diamant, and Emily Sharbaugh for helping the show reach YouTube and the podcast. podcast world. And as always, don't forget to slow down, take a drink of water, enjoy some baseball, just chill, okay? Chill out. It's all good, baby. It's all good. Baseball's just around the corner. I will see you next time on Friday at noon over in Trevor May Baseball for another edition of Mayday. Love you guys. Hope you have a great one, and I will see you very, very soon. Mayday out.